What are the signs in astrology? The houses, the planets. How does each work? What does each represent? How do they work together? I'll explain. The signs represent the development of life through all its stages. They represent the 12 all-encompassing energies that pervade everything. Everything in life can be included under one of these 12 archetypes. The signs are the primordial energies that make up all of life. Each sign represents and influences a part of life, and all 12 signs together represent everything on Earth, in human beings, etc. They represent the cyclical nature of all things, and through all 12 energies, everything is influenced. They are the ultimate archetypes, because encompassed in each sign is a vast amount of potentialities. The signs flavor and influence a planet when it is in a sign. The signs wish to express themselves, but with the planets in the way, they must filter through them. The signs are the pure form of an archetype. When a person says they dislike a certain sign, they are really talking about disliking a certain planet in a sign. We do not experience the pure forms of the signs on Earth. They are always filtered. The signs must express themselves, and through the planets, the gods in our psyche, we can manipulate how the signs manifest. The signs are the pure form of all potentiality. They encompass all, the good and the bad, and they only wish to express themselves and manifest. They do this through the planets. The planets are the dynamic factor in astrology. They all move at different speeds and represent the many dynamic factors and parts of the psyche and the world around us. They are named for different gods and deities in various mythologies, and the mythology of said deity shows the archetypal characteristics of a planet or minor planetary body. These are the gods inside of us, the parts of us that represent everything that makes us tick. The zodiac signs influence and flavor the planet which sits in it. It channels through said planet or part of our psyche and alters how that part of us acts. The planets and asteroids and non-physical points in astrology all represent parts of our psyche, our psychology, our emotions, everything about us. There are the main planets, which represent the larger and more influential parts of our psyche, as well as a multitude of asteroids and other comets, which represent smaller, more specific parts of ourselves. As one moves out past Neptune in the solar system, the bodies out there represent deeper parts of our psyche, the trans-Neptunian objects. More and more asteroids, etc., have been discovered in recent years, and this correlates to humanity's attempt at a deeper understanding of the human brain, the physical place of the psyche. Also, more so than any time in history, human beings are allowed to express themselves and discover parts of themselves. These two factors are represented by how many planets, asteroids, and other bodies there are, all of the intricate and nuanced parts of the human psyche. The combo of a planet in a sign manifests in the practical world through the houses. The houses are where they manifest in a person's life, or in mundane astrology, the area of life for said nation, etc. The houses are the areas of life where the planet-sign combo manifests and expresses itself in one's life. They are related to more practical and real-world spheres. Each house is ruled by a sign, and they share archetypal qualities, but they are not the same. The signs and houses each share traits and archetypal qualities, but each represents something different. The signs are the energy behind something, and the house is where that energy manifests in a person's life, in the real world. Someone with a sun in Gemini in the 7th house is not the same as someone with a sun in Libra in the 3rd house, for example. Even if a house has no planets, a sign is still on that house cusp, and therefore that sign is influencing that house in that person's chart. This is what I mean when I say the signs are all-encompassing, because all the 12 are expressing themselves, and how much they express themselves is determined on what planets and other objects are in that sign and what part of the chart, what house that sign is. The combo of a planet in a sign, in a certain house, gives the combination of the sign-planet house many potentials for expression. Similar to genetics, this allows for nurture and free will to be incorporated. You are born with certain genetic blueprint, just like you are born with a certain astrological chart. You cannot change either one of these factors, but what you can do is influence how those genetics or your chart expresses itself. And this happens through either choice and free will and what we choose and not choose to do and how we choose to look at ourselves, and also nurture and how we were raised and the influences we have in our environment. This is all constrained within the potential we have in our chart or in our genetics. Always read each part separately before combining them. For example, a person might have the planet Mercury, their intellect, their mind, in the sign of Cancer, influencing that intellect of the person to be more emotional, subjective, and caring about others. The sign wants to express itself through Mercury, but Mercury doesn't really like emotions. It's not the best, most comfortable place for emotions. So in astrology, this is seen as not a good combo, but practically speaking, the sign will express itself the best it can. That emotionally influenced mind will manifest itself practically in a person's life through the house placement. How will the Cancer archetype attempt to manifest through the Mercury part of one's psyche in the real world? What area of life is influenced? The sign on the cusp of the house shows where the sign is manifesting, and planets in that sign will be near or in that house. The houses move quickly, so we can easily see how many people born on the same day with the same planetary placements in signs can all have completely different lives. The planet sign combo is and will manifest differently for different people depending on the house placement. And these expressions can fundamentally be different, like opposite houses. The ascendant is how we outwardly present to people when we don't know them, when they don't know the inner parts of us. Represented here in the diagram with the ascendant in front of the person and then the rest of the parts of the psyche internalized and inside themselves. As you go deeper into the triangle, you go deeper into the person's psyche represented by those planets. The ascendant is the persona. It's the mask we wear. When you walk into a room and you don't know anyone, it's the personality we're born with, the ability to communicate and to interact. And how we do that is dependent on the sign on the ascendant, as well as planets either in conjunction to the ascendant or in aspect to the ascendant. The first house also has to do with how we present physically, but the ascendant is that initial mask, that initial impression that someone gets of someone. As we get older and we develop a career, who we are in the world, that becomes added to our personality and how people see us. So you might be a person and have it come across as a certain way, but then if you're a doctor, you're that person, you're known as the doctor in society. You're known as that person now to the world. So here then we can move the midheaven, the MC, to the front then, because as you have a career or the person you are in the world and what you do in the world, that also shapes how people see you initially, similar to the ascendant. As you get to know someone, you then start to express your moon, your Mercury, obviously, if you talk to someone, Venus and Mars, if you want to court them or just become friends or get in a relationship with them. And so as you become deeper into the triangle, it shows deeper parts of our psyche. And then as you get past Uranus and Neptune, it's like the deep, deep parts of the unconscious represented by those planetary bodies. An important thing to remember is that rulership in astrology could be summed up as shares similar archetypes with. What this means is that rulership isn't necessarily anything more than just categorizing the planets, signs, and houses into similarities. Planets especially should be seen as separate from their associated signs and houses. The 12 signs absolutely correlate to the 12 houses, but even here one should not think that they are the same. A Leo sun is not the same as a 5th house sun, again for example. This also applies for things like exaltation, detriment, mutual reception, etc. They are all simply put descriptive words for different types of combos of signs, planets, and houses, and how well they integrate with each other and work or not. They just represent better or worse relationships between each of the three. The same idea applies to stelliums as well, a stellium being a conjunction of 3 or more planets. What that means in a practical terms is just a concentration of energy, a combination of different parts of one's psyche acting together in a stronger way. A regular conjunction is a concentration of archetypes' energy as well, and a stellium is just adding another planet into the mix. The aspects between the planets in the chart represent how the parts of our psyche, influenced by the signs therein, are related to each other, or not, and how those parts of the psyche affect each other. It points to a deeper understanding of the complexity of human psychology, and that simply looking at planets in signs and houses does not describe everything. The planets, unlike the houses and signs, share multiple rulerships with the signs and houses. And this is why the planet to sign rulership can be kind of seen as weird and multiple rulers. There are multiple planets and asteroids, and each one shares multiple archetypal characteristics with a certain sign or house, or multiple. For example, we see Mars rules Aries, but it also rules Scorpio. Well, Pluto also rules Scorpio. So in my mind, I see multiple planets and signs can be associated or, quote, rule one or multiple signs. And it's, like I said about rulership, it is shares similar archetypes with. And so when a planet is in a sign, and say it's exalted, it's a more positive relationship. It's an easier flow of that sign through that part of our psyche to then express. Whereas if it's in detriment, it's a way of saying that it's a extra added difficulty in the expression of that sign through that planet.